He ended up murdering the lady across the street from our house, and I never told my mother about it. To this day, my mom don't know about it.
Wow.
And I always vowed I'd kill him if I saw him, and in my prison bid, I ended up running into him. And my wife always said that I needed to forgive him for me, and I never understood that until that day. I remember I was walking to his cell with a shank, and my bunkie said, "Don't you want to go home?" And I broke down right there, and that's when I forgave him and understood what forgiveness was for
Wow.
him was for me.
I know you told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away, as you fade away.
What's your name, brother?
David,
Where are you from?
originally I'm from LBI, New Jersey,
How old are you?
41.
Growing up, did you grow up in a two-parent home, one-parent home?
No, I grew up, my mom was 16 and pretty much grew up in a, mom and dad didn't get married until a couple years later. And then it was very abusive.
Okay, so your mom was a teenage mom?
Yep.
And was there any addiction present in the household? Any type of abuse, anything like that?
In 81 I was born, so it was 80s with sex, drugs, rock and roll in my house. You know, a lot of cocaine parties
Uh-huh.
and a lot of keg parties, a lot of everything. Naked people running around, you know. I was exposed to a very young age to a lot of things.
So you say you was exposed to a lot of chaos when you were younger?
Oh, absolutely. Bounced around from house to house, you know, friends, family, floor. You know, my mom was 16 when she had me. I don't blame her.
She's a child herself.
Absolutely.
Was there any type of like domestic abuse, physical abuse, anything like that?
Well, my father was very abusive towards me and my mother. Thank God today my dad has, you know, changed his ways. I was sexually abused by my mom's boyfriend when I was 6 years old. He ended up murdering the lady across the street from our house, and I never told my mother about it. To this day, my mom don't know about it.
Wow.
And I always vowed I'd kill him if I saw him, and in my prison bid, I ended up running into him. And my wife always said that I needed to forgive him for me, and I never understood that until that day. I remember I was walking to his cell with a shank, and my bunkie said, "Don't you want to go home?" And I broke down right there, and that's when I forgave him and understood what forgiveness was for him was for me.
Wow. How old were you when that happened?
6 years old.
And you kept that a secret the whole time?
Yep, and I felt that that lady's murder was my fault, because if I would have just told my mom, maybe it would have never happened.
Yeah.
But it took me many years to realize that I was a kid myself. I couldn't control what another adult did to me. It ruined a lot of relationships in my life.
How did that affect you growing up?
Abused many women, not physically, but verbally, sexually, because I felt that maybe I was gay because of God, what a guy did to me. But I realized I couldn't screw my way straight, like I was straight.
Yeah.
And it was just all the way up until the girl I'm with now, I didn't understand what it was to be in a relationship and be 100% honest. Even though I'm out here strung out, I've learned a lot of good values and morals with my wife, and you know,
A lot of valuable lessons, you would say?
absolutely. You know, after all this stuff that's happened to me in my life, I probably wouldn't change any of it. I just need to get through this other side of this demon I'm battling right now.
When the abuse took place, did he tell you, look, don't tell anybody? Did he threaten you? Did he like promise you,
yeah.
pay you? You know?
It was known not to say nothing.
Yeah.
You know, or you know, I was worried about my mother getting hurt. He didn't even really have to say anything because he was such a big guy that I was fearful of my mom. You know, my mom was my best friend growing up, which is kind of ended up being a bad thing, but at the same time a good thing. But I felt I was protecting her.
Yeah.
So.
And did you finish high school?
I graduated in 2000. I had a lot of problems in high school, you know. As my teachers would say, I'm not fucking stupid.
Yeah.
You know, I was just running wild.
Okay.
And it got to the point where my mother, you know, seen me getting suspended all the time, and she just let me do what I wanted to do.
It was almost easier than putting up a fight with you and stuff like that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I had the same thing as well. So, what's your best memory as a child?
Best memory as a child would be my aunt passed away in 2000 from HIV, and she didn't know she had it for many years. But as a child, I used to go with my aunt everywhere. She was like my second mother, and I mean, we did everything together. And just as stupid as this might sound, I wanted to go to Kmart with her one day, and it's like a 3-mile walk from my house to there, and she was like, you can go with me, but you got to walk every step of the way. Mm-hmm. And I walked every step of the way just to be with her, you know? And that's probably the hardest thing in my life too, is losing her.
Was she like the fun aunt, you know, cool?
No, she was strict. She was someone you respected, but you also had a lot of fun with. I used to sneak around smoking cigarettes. That was like the first thing. I was like 11 or 12 at a Walmart, and my aunt, I remember her calling me up, and she was like, you know, I should have embarrassed you and came up to you and smacked the shit out of you for smoking. She's like, don't think I didn't see it. And like, you know, I kind of laughed it off, but at the same time, like, that was my, you didn't disrespect her. But we had a lot of fun together.
Now, was your mother a disciplinarian also, or
Absolutely
did she?
Not.
Okay, so she sort of took that place in your mom as the disciplinarian?
Absolutely. And it's not even really a disciplinarian. Like, I mean, I remember, you know, my cousins, I grew up with my cousins, my mom, that was my dad's sister. And I remember we grew up a lot with my mom's sister. She had 3 kids. My cousins were like my brothers and sisters. Mm-hmm. And they would get grounded. If they didn't go to school, they weren't allowed out. And I never had any of that, but at the same time, I was kind of envious of it.
Yeah, that structure.
Because it was like, wow, it seemed like my aunt cared, you know, about the schoolwork and everything else. And my mom really didn't care whether I finished schoolwork.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what a habit was. Once I did, I mean, it's been June 6, 2001 was when I got caught with 10 pounds of weed, got locked up, and that started my cycle of rehabs, you know, jails and institutions.
What brought on the harder drugs?
The harder drugs was when I was like 15, you know, a couple of my buddies, older brothers, were into heroin, and that was like a big thing by me in the Jersey Shore. It was a no-no. My buddy got coke one night, and which I thought was coke, and I remember him giving me this little bump, and I'm like, what the hell is this, bro? I'm used to watching Scarface and shit, and I did this little bump, but it was like the most heavenly feeling I've ever felt in my life, and I was so in love, but at the same time so scared of it. I didn't touch it for like another year. I was eating perks. I used to ride BMX freestyle, and I broke my collarbones, my scapula, my rotator cuff. I was being fed pills. They were stringed around. I was being fed pills left and right from the doctors. And I didn't, this is like how naive I was. I remember taking a pill and I remember liking how it felt, and on the bottle it said 4 to 6 hours later. Well, my buddy's like, well, why would you wait that long? Just eat 2 or 3, eat 4 or 5. I went from that to sniffing dope, to shooting dope, to everything I swore I wouldn't do. Homeless, family that wanted nothing to do with me by the time I was 18. My mom, once again, it was all right for me to be in the house as long as, you know, selling weed and stuff, as long as I gave her money, pay for bills and, you know, alcohol for herself, because she was an alcoholic.
You said that you ended up seeing your stepfather in the penitentiary. What did you go to jail for?
I did 5 years my first time for drugs. Was home for about 6 months, did another 2 years for more drugs and checks and all this, and then my last and final one after a couple months of being home was a bank robbery for, you know, with a note. That's when I did the 8 years and ended up running into him my last 18 months.
So run me through that day that you committed the bank robbery. Was it like drug motivated? Were you?
Oh, absolutely. I just came home. I was only home a couple weeks on a program in Jersey called ISP, Intensive Supervision Program. They put me in a sober living house. My girl wasn't there. My family was kind of keeping me at distance, and like I really felt like I was better off like in prison. Like I had more meaning there.
Yeah.
And I took off from ISP, and I was dope sick, and I was at this girl's house. I said, wake me up at 9 o'clock in the morning, I'm robbing a bank. And she's like, yeah, right. She wakes me up, and it was like 10 after 9, and she's like, I'm like, why didn't you fucking wake me up? I walked down to the Pleasantville bus terminal, and jumped in a cab, and was like, yo, take me to the bank, I gotta cash a check. And the crazy part is I do burglaries, you know, shoplifting. My anxiety runs higher than this day. I remember being calm as could be. We pulled up. I told the taxi cab driver, wait out front. Went inside. I filled out a note. Said, shut up, give me all the money, and no one gets hurt. And I waited online, handed him the note. Next thing I know, he's handing over money. But he's handing over 1s and 5s, and I remember saying 50s and 100s, motherfucker. And he started handing 50s and 100s, and he takes a stack of 20s and he smacks it down. He smacks it down again, and I grab the money and I walk outside, and the cab driver I thought was gone, but he was in a parking spot. And I jumped in the cab, and I'm like, let's go. And I can hear the cops coming, and I went for the 20s, and I seen a wire. I thought it was GPS. I threw it out the window. Got $9,157. Ended up getting away for a month. I ended up over here, actually. I ran out of money 36 hours later from smoking coke, shooting dope, and started panhandling on 8th and Market. Got caught and ended up doing 8 years.
Do you know what it was that made them realize that it was you?
Oh, well, it wasn't. I ended up doing some credit card fraud at the Paco station, and the Delaware Port Authority got me for that. And they were asking me my name. I'm shooting my brother's name out, everything. And they're like, as longer I'm sitting there, I'm getting sicker and sicker. And I'm like, man, just take me to county, my name. And I told him my name, my SBI, everything. And I remember the cop looking up, and he was like, wow, he's wanted for ISP violation, a bank robbery, a burglary, and some check shit. He ain't coming home for a long time. And they were offering me 25 years because of my record. I have 27 felony convictions. I've been in that, you know, since I've been 18. It's all I know.
Yeah.
The streets here and there. And then when I came home in 2018, I got back with my wife, and I was starting to have a normal, what they call a normal life, you know. I had a normal Christmas home for the first time in 10 years. And I remember that first Christmas home, man, like my brother ruined it once again. And I was on a fuck it, when this is over, babe, I'm going to Philly with or without you. And my wife is always with me, man. And I feel bad because I feel like I brought her on this last 2 years demise.
Yeah.
Because I ended up, when I violated, we ended up going out to Indiana to my mom's. Came out here, started DoorDashing, got carjacked, and I've been out here since.
And I see you have. So how long have you been here altogether now?
Just over 2 years now.
Okay. And you staying out on the street?
Yeah.
All right. I see like your pants are all full of blood. What's that from?
From me trying to get high and fucking my wounds.
Yeah.
You know, with the xylazine and everything, when you miss, you get these wounds that just are something I ain't never seen before.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people are losing their legs, their arms. They were talking about doing something with this one, but it's actually healing.
Yeah.
So, you know.
What's your habit like daily?
My habit is pretty much whatever I can boost, steal, whatever I can come up with.
On a good day, what are you spending?
A couple hundred a day, easy.
Okay. And you said boosting is like your main source of?
I mean, from stupid shit to going to Wawa, stealing candy, to fucking, you know, a lot of the big stores won't let me in, especially looking like this. And,
yeah.
You know, to be honest with you, I don't really want to go back to prison. I'm afraid stealing from Wawa fucking me up.
So you said a lot of the big stores, they won't even let you in?
No, not looking like this.
Yeah.
You know, you automatically get profiled, you know.
Yep.
So.
So tell us what you seen last night. For the fucking third time.
Oh, wow, you're really liking this one. About 3:20 this morning, we heard a window crash. People screaming. Next thing you know, a girl jumps out a third-story window. She already is an amputee on her left leg, and she was running around half topless. I mean, just bottomless. Only had a shirt on.
Mm-hmm.
Sliced up, looking like Insidious, and she pretty much, her bone was sticking out of her wrist. And I mean, just freaking out, saying some dude's holding her hostage. Cops are running in the building, and they didn't come out with anybody. There was a few females up top looking down. I mean, I ain't never seen nothing like that one. I mean, I've seen some shit, but I don't know what the hell that was from. But yeah, third-story windows. I mean, her ass cheeks sliced up, her legs. I mean,
how did the cops treat her when they got there?
I mean, they didn't even want to look at her, touch her. They just kept saying, stand still, stay still, you know, and she kept crawling around the ground almost like, was that the Meagle from Lord of the Rings? My precious.
Yeah. Schmeagle.
Yeah, Schmeagle, whatever, man. That thing was, dude, I'm telling you, she looked possessed. And she didn't even look like she was hurt, man.
For real?
That's what fucked me up the most.
Yeah, she was moving good?
Yeah.
Wow. You got any questions for me, brother?
No.
No? Well, let me ask you something. If somebody was to offer you a chance to get clean, would you take it?
Absolutely, and I'm trying to take it now, but because of these wounds I have on my arm and everything, I have to be medically cleared to get in a couple of these places.
Yeah, the rehabs won't take you, right?
Yeah, it's just a battle right now, and they have a program in the hospital. It's called the L4 program, where they deal with wounds and addiction.
Yeah.
So I'm trying, hopefully after the 4th I can get in.
Well, I hope so, brother.
Yeah.
I thank you for your time. And thank you for speaking with me.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you. I hope you have a good day, all right, brother?
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.